Hi, I'm Neil Maycock.
And I'm Greg Bressak, and this is the Business of Media Tech in the wild today at NAB 2026.
And we're delighted to have Barbara Marshall from Hewlett-Packard, Head of M&E. Is that right?
We can say that, close to global media and entertainment lead, whatever that means.
Fantastic. So yeah, maybe if we just kick off a little bit about your career, how did you end up here, and
Sure.
then we can get on into some interesting topics.
Great, well thanks very much for having me. So I've been in the media and entertainment industry 35 years. I joined the BBC in '92, so maybe my maths isn't adding up. And I was there for 7 years. I'm ex-Broadcast Magazine. You can tell
Right.
I'm a Brit. It was with Autodesk that actually brought me over to Canada. So I was with Autodesk, and then I joined HP 8.5 years ago. And they moved me to the US, to Colorado, and I'm currently in LA. So I've been in the industry quite a bit. We were just talking how many NABs we've been to, and I've actually lost count, but I think it is 27 or something like that.
Yeah, I've stopped trying to count because we're just chatting. We're almost identical age as well. So way too many
it's a
NABs.
shock. It's a shock.
Yes.
Which means you would have really seen an awful lot of change in the industry, but symbolic, I suppose, at NAB.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, NAB for sure is a snapshot of what's going on in the industry. And I think, one of the, yes, of course, we've seen the move from standard definition to high definition, widescreen, virtual production, which always made me laugh because broadcast has been doing virtual production since last century. I remember the BBC when we had the little LED lights and it was the grey background and we were doing virtual graphic sets. So obviously we've come a long way since then, but a lot of change. And then, of course, the big topic right now is AI. And I know we're going to talk about supply chain.
Yes.
It's an interesting time, isn't it, to be in the industry at the moment?
Yes.
In inverted
and perhaps one of the, I'm not going to say only times, but a little bit different to some of those changing, those dynamic times that you just mentioned before, which is not self-inflicted. Coming at us from external at the moment.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point, that it is somewhat beyond any of our control. As you say, it's not self-inflicted.
I think the velocity in the industry as well. So I think that, the HD transition was owned by the broadcast industry, and we did it at our pace, which compared with the speed that the IT world lives in, where HP dominate, that moves at a completely different pace, even before we get onto the subject of AI. And so how have you found that different, I guess, business culture inside HP in terms of that rate of change and just how they look at the world versus a relatively slow moving media industry? Yeah,
it's been interesting being at a company the size of HP, and of course, people don't always realize this, but Hewlett-Packard split into two companies 10 years ago. I'm in HP, we make the PCs and the displays, and I'm in the workstations division, or the advanced compute and solutions division. And then you've got the whole other Hewlett-Packard enterprise doing servers and storage. So it was an even bigger company in the past, but HP, 55,000 people. That's
Wow.
huge.
Yeah, that's NAB.
Compared with, I was at Autodesk, I think we were 15,000 at the time. BBC, when I was there, was 21,000. Yeah, I mean, they were big companies, but now I'm in a huge company. So I think part of the challenge of being in a huge company when you're focused on a specific industry, as I am, and passionate about the media and entertainment industry, is this is only one industry compared with, automotive, and which is part of product design and manufacturing, or architecture, IT. It's like HP operates on a scale that is very different than what we're most used to.
So we had an interesting stat from previous conversation where somebody had been at AWS and they said media and entertainment was the second smallest sector that AWS dealt with. Is that similar for HP?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I look at it a different way. I would say it's the third largest sector that advanced computing solutions deals with.
Okay.
When you look at IDC data, which is kind of the Bible, like where do computers and specifically workstations get sold into, IDC tries to estimate what goes into engineering, what goes into digital content creation. Engineering, they lump together. You could effectively say that is both architecture, engineering, construction, industry, plus product design and manufacturing, lumped together in engineering. That accounts for 67% of worldwide workstation sales.
Wow.
Not just HP, this is IDC measuring. And then digital content creation, which you could equate to media and entertainment,
Yes, yeah.
12%.
Right.
Now, 12% obviously is a lot smaller than 67%, but then you've got these other workstation industry segments. So you've got sort of scientific and software development and then commercial other. They're each 5%. So I would look at it within our division as we're the third largest segment.
So significant.
Significant.
Yeah.
But when you look at HP, then we'll have the same approach as AWS. You think about banking, how many thousands, hundreds of thousands of machines they're buying each year. You think of the healthcare industry, what they're buying compared with, say, digital content creation. And also, they're not necessarily buying workstations, they're buying what we would call normal commercial business machines. So that's where the volume is.
Yeah. So that's compounded the thing I wanted to talk about. So yeah, you're right. We wanted to talk about supply chain, and certainly there's some pressures on it right now. It appears to be, but what's compounded. So I was going to ask the question about how does a small vendor in this space get the attention of a big company like HP? But then if it's compounded by the fact that media and entertainment is 15%?
12% of the workstation business as a
So if we're
whole.
12% of and a bigger problem, that compounds the question. So, well, first of all, if we dig into how do the small guys handle this, what are you seeing from the AI data center demand? Is it disruptive?
Yeah, I mean, there's two aspects. There's huge opportunity, obviously, for a company like HP.
Yes,
huge opportunity. We have a data science team in our division that's been in existence now for 7-8 years, tailoring software stacks as well as hardware. We see new business opportunities because, to your point earlier about a lot of business over the last 10 years, a lot of workstation business over the last 10 years went to cloud. There's a lot of workflows moved to cloud. We always knew that would only work for certain workflows. We've always been believing that the future is hybrid.
Yes.
And we are seeing some of that cloud business come back to local compute, and AI is driving that, as we know, particularly in media and entertainment. The security concerns, wanting to keep models local, not wanting any risks of their models getting out into the wild, and wanting to be sure that they're using clean models, models that have been built on data that has been their own data or that has been approved of. So we are seeing what we predicted, that beginning to shift back to edge compute, if you like. And so there's opportunity there. Now, at the same time, as we all know, this huge demand for AI data centers, because of course it's not one or the other. It's like there are huge AI data centers still being built, even if some of our customers are shifting to local compute. And that is what is driving this shortage of memory, and that's what's driving the shortage for graphics cards. And with the shortage, standard economics prices go up. I feel so sorry for our sales team. I'm just going to say it. And everybody's like, there's no one company that's immune from this. I know our competitors are having the same issues. The sales team are, having to deal with customers day in, day out. We can't deliver the goods. And the way we're trying to mitigate it, and I'm not going to pretend like there's no easy answer, we call it like demand steering. So the sales team are getting directives. We think we can get hold of this type of storage or this type of memory, this component. If you can steer demand to this, and then,
right.
But it's so, it's moving so fast.
Fast moving.
Quick.
And then, oh no, actually, can you start moving them over here? And one sales person told me they feel like lemmings. They're just being directed, and trying to drive the business wherever they can. So it's really, really difficult, and there is no immediate relief in sight. I've heard variously it's going to be like this to the end of the year. I've also heard that it's going to be like this for another 18 months.
How in terms of the magnitude of the problem, I mean, the recent history is the post-pandemic where we had the supply chain. Is it a bigger or comparable problem? Or?
Speaking from an HP point of view, we learnt the hard way during COVID. We had a very tight supply chain process. We had like one factory, and guess where that was? Can you guess where it was during COVID?
Wuhan.
Hole in one. Certainly, I think that was for our. I can't remember now if that was for all of our desktops or all of our mobiles. That was. I mean, you couldn't make that up.
No.
So obviously, we've had to diversify. We now have got manufacturing units around the world.
Right.
So there's an element of trying to juggle. Where can you get? So not just what components, but where can you get the components? And is there a geographical difference? But it's still, a dynamic situation. The other thing,
In terms of the scale.
the scale of it, I mean that's where scale helps, because obviously you've got the demand leverage. Relationships. I mean, we're all in a relationship business, and so our executives, absolutely during COVID as well as now, are spending time going out to the ODMs that make this stuff for us, just investing in the relationship and being top of mind and doing what we can to, I don't know, I don't want to say grease the wheels, but it's relationships and then trying to give as best visibility as we can. So the better visibility we have about our customer needs over the next 6-12 months, the better we can help, give that visibility to the manufacturers.
Yeah, I mean, that was my question. It's like from the sort of buyers side or the manufacturers in our sector, the more they can give you forecasts of demand, that helps plan.
And of course, we know in this business that's really difficult.
Yes.
So the broadcasters, I suppose, to be fair, broadcast infrastructure, that is a bit more predictable. They do know, but when you're talking more about film and long form, very project based, if you don't know you've got the green light until a certain time, you don't know when you're going to need the resources. So it really is a juggling act. But of course, the longer lead time, the better. The longer lead time, the more likely we're going to be able to get what you need in time for when you need it.
So going back to the cloud point, has that, there was a period, as you said, everybody was running to the cloud. Then people started realizing that actually, no, on-prem makes sense. Are we seeing that actually now there's swinging back to the cloud a little bit because they can't buy the on-prem compute?
That's a really interesting question, and I honestly can't say I'm seeing that happen, but I could understand if that were the case. I think people obviously are having to ask themselves, do I really need to refresh at this point in time?
Yes.
I think there's an interesting timing for one of our new technologies, which is called HPZ Boost, which we recently announced, and that's GPU sharing technology. We've acquired the company, we licensed the technology. It's a software, effectively, application that allows people to better utilize their existing infrastructure. You think about it, a lot of people are not using the GPU in their machine all the time. It's only used for certain tasks.
Yeah.
So this software allows you to share spare GPU capacity with somebody who needs it at any given time.
Interesting.
And so it's coincidence. I mean, obviously we had no idea what was going to happen. So it's coincidence that we've got this technology. But I think maybe that's going to be something that people can look at. At the moment, it works primarily for data science, AI workflows. That's where we developed it originally.
Right.
And we're just this year now beginning to move into the creative workflows. And because we have to tweak the software to make it work with Blender is our demo at the moment on our booth. At NAB, we're showing a demo of this technology working with Blender, but we're also exploring and being very much demand-driven. Customers obviously talk about Unreal Engine, and they're using Unreal Engine a lot. Nuke is another one that we're looking at. So we should start seeing it being available for other more creative workflows.
Yeah, so it really helps optimize your infrastructure.
Yeah, I mean, and who wouldn't want to do that anyway, regardless of what else is going on in the world? If you can better utilize your resources, then that makes sense.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I think so. One other thing I want to say, because I mean it's a bit more esoteric, but I remember last year reading something that Bernie Sanders had said, and at the time I'm like, oh, Bernie, he was saying we need a moratorium on building all these AI data centers until we've done a full analysis of the implications. And at the time I was like, ooh, that's a bit out there. But when you see now the ramifications and how it's impacting every aspect of life, car manufacturers are having the same issue.
Yep.
It's not just the computers that we're talking about. I'm beginning to wonder if he wasn't right. Did he have a fair point?
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
This is the implications are so great that maybe there does need to be a bit more.
Well, the numbers that they're talking about, I mean, the hundreds of billions of dollars that they're talking about in terms of the investment, you've just never seen that before.
No, exactly.
At scale.
And then the other thing as well that I personally care about, and I know HP cares about because it's part of our DNA, is the sustainability.
Water and power.
Water, power, the energy, the implications on the environment. And yes, I know, a lot of these AI data centers, they're building their own power plants, they're building their own solar plants. So, maybe we're able to mitigate it. But I do think it's a conversation that has to be had.
Yeah. And a lot of the money isn't there either. They're building and there's highly leveraged type scenarios, and it all just feels a bit of a house of cards. Some of the commercial structure around what's happening. Yeah.
No, we're definitely at an interesting point in history.
So, supply chain issues can materialise in certain ways. There can be shortages of the equipment for customers. There can be price hikes in the equipment for customers, neither of which are good, particularly in a business and the business of media technology, where in some ways we are really quite constrained, margin constrained in this day and age.
Yeah.
Are we seeing shortages? Are we seeing price hikes? Are we seeing both?
We're seeing both, and we've got angry customers, and we've got customers coming to us that are angry with our competitors. And I had a conversation on the show floor yesterday. I'm like, to be fair to the competitor you're naming, I'm not going to pretend. I don't think we can be any better. Like, we're all in the same boat. And it's cold comfort. But people are having to consider other vendors if that vendor happens to have what they're asking for in the timescale. It's messy. It's very messy.
Usually when we have a supply chain, a demand issue or a supply issue, our hand of God, our market mechanism tends to help right that. It might not happen overnight, but it will tend to work itself out over a little while. You mentioned there before that you don't see this, or you're hearing that it could be 6 months, could be 18 months to begin righting itself. Is that based on what you're seeing in terms of supply catching up, or is that based on demand reducing, or where do you see that?
I think so. What I'm hearing is that's the time it's going to take for supply
to catch up.
To catch up, to get online, to meet demand. Now, you're right. Maybe supply will end up growing faster than if demand starts tailing off. I honestly don't know. I just think, customers are questioning, do I really need to renew right now?
Yeah.
And plenty are. It's part of the plan, and so they are trying to renew, and they're caught in this mess.
It was really interesting what you said then, actually, about the idea of do we need to put things off? Do we do project by project? Do we only focus on the things we can't delay and delay the things we can?
Yeah.
And the other thing I've been talking to a few people about has been the idea of, do we take a bit more of a hybrid approach to this and say, well, temporarily we will do this in the cloud for the next 6 months until we, and until we get some fresh air in terms of supply chain, and then we'll buy and bring it in-house.
I think it's unlikely that you would see large swathes of. If you're already working local, it's not an easy switch just to change that workflow to the cloud.
Sure.
I think the hybrid approach where we're doing, the editing locally and then overnight we'll render.
Yes.
I think that's where the hybrid approach is practical and established. I mean, that's how a lot of people operate. I've also, still see customers wanting to bring stuff off the cloud, and a lot of customers will put all their machines into the render pool at night, because if they're not in a 24/7 operation, they've only got one geographic location, they can use all their machines overnight for the rendering. So, but I think it is a bit like COVID. Like, everybody's going to be trying to find whatever works for them. There's no one size fits all. I think the big difference, and you made this, is this an even bigger impact, is during COVID, so many people switched to mobile workstations, and that's where we were having the supply issues.
Yes.
I had certainly one customer tell me they went out and bought as many Z2 minis that they could get their hands on, and were even buying second-hand ones because they knew they wouldn't be able to get laptops. And these are the small workstations that they could send people home with, these little workstations, and they were portable. So they kind of serve the same function.
Sort of a bit of lateral thinking.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think, the answer to the current situation is to be flexible on your configuration. Of course, you've got your ideal configuration, but being flexible, because if these components are available, for example, as well with the graphics cards, the most popular graphics card is the NVIDIA RTX 4000 Blackwell. Maybe we could switch to a 4500 or a 5000. It might be a little bit more expensive, but if you can get it, it's better than not being able to get anything.
Absolutely.
And so it's that sort of flexibility, which of course creates way more work for both the people buying and the people selling, because you've got to sit down and look at the alternatives. And
will they work? Yeah.
Will they work? I mean,
but then again, that's how a lot of innovation happens.
Yes.
It happens out of necessity.
Absolutely. You're right.
So I appreciate your candor. It's been really interesting to sort of get your perspective on this. But I think to maybe finish on a more positive note than distressed supply chains.
Yes.
I was just going to try and tee up your looking out 2 years.
Yeah. We've been asking people that we've been doing the interviews with here at NAB, where you see things in your world in the next couple of years. You know, look, putting that crystal ball on the table, polishing it up, and
Yeah.
Post the supply chain challenge, so we're past the 18 months.
Absolutely,
What
yeah.
are the big trends that you think?
I mean, I think it's always hard to predict, and of course, with things moving so quickly at the moment, it's even harder. But I do see 2 or 3 areas that I think are really exciting and are positive for our media and entertainment industry. So one of them is, of course, AI is maturing. People are now not afraid to talk about it. They might still have the lawyers preventing them using it in final pixels, but there definitely is this move now, and that's an opportunity for a company like HP, because we've got super powerful workstations that are great for building training models, smaller models, or fine-tuning medium-sized ones, and definitely great for inferencing. But we've also got the new NVIDIA technology, you know, the NVIDIA DGX, Grace Blackwell technology that they've brought into a sort of desktop version. The GB10, we have we called it ZGX, so DGX. The HP version is ZGX Nano, the tiny little thing that can process up to 200 billion parameters on this little device.
Wow.
And then now we've just announced a big beast of a machine. It's called the ZGX Fury AI Station. I forget how many, I think it's over 1 trillion parameters that can be processed on this beast. And it's a whole new category of compute, because previously you'd have been doing this in your servers in the cloud, but no, now you've got these super powerful AI stations as opposed to workstations that you could have in your rack or even desk side. So I think that's a whole area that we're going to see develop. The other area, more on the creative side, as we were talking earlier, when you look at the creator economy and how it's maturing, and how some of the influencers like Mr. Beast have become mainstream, like Amazon's now commissioned like the 3rd season of the Mr. Beast show. These are full-on production companies with high production values. It's becoming mainstream. And I think that the challenge for a company like HP and our resellers is to be engaging with these companies who aren't traditionally aware of how you go about purchasing infrastructure for a large-scale production. Keycode Media, of course, did a great job with Mr. Beast and were the systems integrator and working with Mr. Beast and Amazon. But I think there's a lot more of this happening. Creators that have become so big that they are now full-on production companies. Maybe they've come from the Mac background. That's the challenge for us, is how to reach these people and help them understand the benefits of PC, whether that be Linux or Windows, and workstations if they're really moving into 3D high-end graphics and production. So that, I think, is a super exciting opportunity. And then the third area is, you know, who knew that broadcast would have the renaissance that it's having with live sports and the amount of data that is generating, and how the AI workflows are an integral part of live sports coverage. You know, all the graphics that are being generated in real time. You know, we wouldn't be able to do what is done today without the AI helping that. And so that's another growth area, which I guess a few years ago we might not have predicted that broadcast would be so alive and well in that regard.
Yeah, and you combine that AI kind of growth with the just absolute booming of tier 2, tier 3 sports.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, whether it be, you know, and please don't get me wrong, it can be, women's sport is very much tier 1, but all of a sudden a huge booming of women's sport around the world.
Women's sport, college sport,
high school sport, you know, community sport around the world.
Exactly. Yeah, huge appetite for it, and the same need as tier 1. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we worked out on an earlier discussion that this time next year we will all be virtual and it will be produced by an AI for us, AI producer. So we'll see.
I don't think I buy into that picture. I mean, we're all finding AI is so helpful and it's enhancing what we do.
Yeah.
I think
Oh, I meant it doing the production
doing
for
the
us.
production.
So we'll still be here.
I will still. Oh, okay, we're not going to be AI avatars.
No, not
Hopefully
at all.
not. Well, unless I can be on an
But
island.
we'll have a whole AI production crew rather than me running around pressing buttons. So
Oh, go on.
that'll be-
You love it. You love it.
Yeah, but am I good at it? We'll find out.
Well, thanks so much for coming by. I mean, it's a really poignant topic. It's been a topic that I've been discussing with an awful lot of people, like this idea of that coming together that we have talked about the AI coming together with the supply chain issues, maybe because of it, but also influencing it, and what influence it has on the business and media technology. And I think it's great to hear it from someone who knows.
Really appreciate you being open to discussing, challenging situations.
Yeah.
I thank you for allowing me to be part of the conversation, and I think the world's a better place if we're all open and honest about what's going on.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Brilliant. Thanks
Thank
a
you,
lot.
Barbara.
Thank you.